Hi, I'm Umai, and I'm here to help you live freely as your true self. Today marks 2.5 years of living free from alcohol, and I had imagined and envisioned that this would be this day of like crazy celebration for myself. In the build up to it, I felt such gratitude and like deep, heartfelt joy towards everything that the decision has brought into my life. But today, the actual day itself, I feel very differently. And I think it's really important to share that part, the harder part of the journey itself, with people, with you. I will stand by, and I mean with every inch of my being. It is the best decision that I've ever made, I think, in my life. I'm not really sure how many other decisions I've made of such size or magnitude is the word I'm looking for. So I don't know what I have it to compare towards. There's nothing really to compare it towards, but it's one of those things that I never imagined I'd do, and having done has completely revolutionized my life, not just how my life looks on the outside, but how I experience life from within. And it took me a long time to make the decision. From hearing it internally, would go to the forest in Mauritius and I would hear that you are going to give up drinking and it's going to enable you to help the people that you're called to help in this lifetime. And I'd hear this and I'd think, I don't want to do that. I love drinking on catamarans on Saturday. I felt like my identity was completely wrapped around being the life and soul of of a party. That like being fun was what I was all about. It was sort of such a part of how I existed. I socialized. I did everything with. But this sort of spiritual opening had happened within me, and this call to break away from societal norms and live differently and live very much like from the heart of what I was called to do in life. And I knew that alcohol didn't align with that. I knew it didn't. It didn't fit in. I can't help people cultivate all they are from within if I'm still using anything external to help me feel anything really. And so I knew from a place of integrity I had to be free of it. It had to be out of my life. What I feel today is the recognition of how much I had used alcohol up until 2.5 years ago as a coping mechanism, as a way to deal with my plethora of unmet needs by myself, by others, but just in the way that my life was. My needs weren't being met. I was definitely not listening to my own, and I'd created sort of social structures, predominantly, not entirely, but around my needs not being met, around being this source of joy, this source of entertainment, this source of fun and like energy for other people. And what I really, really connected with today was like the actual decision to give up alcohol. That was hard, but once I'd made it, it was easy. Not easy, but I'm not one of those people that thinks about, oh, I'd like a drink at any point. It just, within a couple of months, it just completely faded away. But what has been really hard is the inner work required. What has been really hard is facing all the times that I didn't meet my needs, all those times that I went along with things that I knew didn't serve me, how much I disassociated from myself. I feel so much sadness and anger around today. And it gets me thinking about why that was. Yes, there's, my emotional unmet needs from my parents, from their own ancestral things. We all have that. But I realized how much I'd really dissociated from whether I thought yes or no to something, was being raped at 16, and how having said no when it mattered the most, not being listened to, that I took away my no from other people. It didn't bother saying no really after that, or less and less as time went on. I just made myself available to other people to normalize the pain of that experience. I removed my consent being needed because the fact that my consent had been crossed was so painful to bear. And I spent decades of my life as a result trying to run from that, trying to avoid it through nights that I didn't want to end. I never wanted to spend that time being with myself because sitting with that was just too painful, and sitting with all that I was perpetuating from that event, from not allowing myself to be with the pain of the experience, from resisting the pain, it just built up and up and up, and it became just increasingly unbearable until nothing would really drown it out anymore. And so today, ironically, I don't want to celebrate. Today I want to be with the part of myself that has found this journey really hard, that not necessarily found not picking up a drink hard, but has found that being with decades of avoided painful experiences really tough to sit with. Having this unbelievable connection within and to what I would call God has been so transformative, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it's hard. Doesn't stop me, the person, having to go through the experience of witnessing it, having to feel all these trapped emotions, all this stored pain, all these resisted experiences as it's released. You can't avoid anything in life. And it's like, I spent so long trying to avoid it, suffering anyway, to now having to experience it anyway, all this time on. So if I want to leave you with anything today, it's that the life is not easy, and pretending that it's supposed to be is only going to cause more suffering. It's so important to be able to hold these painful experiences, to feel it and not let it destroy you, to know that in that holding, that's your strength. And today I hold how difficult it's been, how completely isolated and alone I have felt in this all too frequently. And I really hope that in sharing this, that in exposing this honestly, that you don't have to feel like you're the only one. Because I felt like I was the only one having to feel this much pain for all too long. We're united in this experience of suffering. It's like what the Buddha says, like the first precept, there is suffering. So not rejecting it, but just learning to hold yourself in it. Like the crucifixion, the cross that like depicts Christianity is literally like suffering. You put your eyes on the cross, but you don't stay too long there. You know it exists, but you know that there is a way out, and that way is learning to be able to be with it. Of not letting it become you, not becoming the pain, but being able to hold it, to feel it, to witness it, to know it exists. And to know that there is something so much greater than that this life has to offer. So, sending you all so much love today. And love to all those parts of you especially that don't get that love all too often. Like this part of myself that I avoided for so many years of my life by pretending everything was fun and games. Here she is. She is loved and she is welcome. Namaste.